From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I'm administrative manager
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm not the guy who cared about love. I'm not the guy who cared about fortunes and such. Never cared much. Oh, look at me now.
Look at Max Wellman now. He's back in Des Moines. He's playing tunes, and he's really a great act to catch. And he's playing all the time, so you should have no trouble catching Max Wellman. Hey, I'm drinking some water here, and about a year ago today, there was an incident involving a little bit of water that wreaked a lot of havoc on the East Coast, specifically New Jersey and New York. Yes, this is the 1-year anniversary, the birthday, if you will, of Sandy. Happy birthday, Sandy. Good riddance. Please do not return anytime soon, because folks are still struggling to recover from Sandy. And with me on the phone to discuss this is State Senator Rob Hogue. Rob, welcome to the program.
Ed, good to be on the show with you.
And where are we calling? Where are we talking with you from tonight? I know you get around a lot.
I'm in Cedar Rapids tonight. In about 45 minutes, we're going to have a ceremony at the replica of the Statue of Liberty on the First Avenue Bridge over the Cedar River in downtown Cedar Rapids to remember those who died in Hurricane Sandy, to renew our support for the survivors, and to commit ourselves to more action in the future to guard against disasters and protect people and property.
And, it's been a year, and the collective conscience is pretty anemic. I mean, we forget things very quickly around here. But this was a storm that put all other storms to shame and destroyed places that thought they were totally above and beyond any kind of hurricane damage. And I understand the recovery has been pretty impressive, but still there is lots to be done and still lots of obstacles. Some of it financial, some of it involving insurance, some of it just involving continued natural weather and what do I want to say, environmental issues that are preventing recovery from happening fully.
Yeah. Well, and I will tell you, recovery may be going pretty good, but if you get on the news today, you will hear plenty of stories of people who are still without permanent housing, businesses that are permanently out of business. And, of course, the cost to our country was staggering, $70 billion, more than $200 per American, and 117 Americans who died in that disaster, along with additional people who died in the Caribbean and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens when you have an unprecedented weather event like Hurricane Sandy was. And I know there are people out there, well, New York suffered hurricanes before. Well, records are records, and there had never been a storm surge above just over 10 feet at Battery Park in Manhattan.
This was, 14 feet, I believe?
Almost 14 feet, almost 4 feet higher than anything New York City had experienced before. And that's what this is why climate change is so important. We need to prepare for disasters with or without climate change. But climate change makes it more urgent, and you need to look for even bigger extreme events so that you're preparing things for like Hurricane Sandy, like the 1,000-year flood in Colorado, like the 2008 flood in Cedar Rapids.
Right.
And, we keep experiencing one of these after another and another, and more Americans are connecting the dots, but we need all Americans to connect the dots and understand that this is the fight of our century.
Now, it seemed like Governor Christie of New Jersey, it seemed to me as if he connected the dots back when this happened.
Well, that's kind of how I remember it, although, he's been doing this kind of dance since then. A little bit it's about climate change, and no, not really. I mean, my perception is it's been a little bit of a dance.
Well, he's in a political party that still, by and large, is inclined to deny that we've got a problem.
Yeah, and that's a problem because, the Republican Party that I remember from the Bob Ray era was a party that embraced science. Even Ronald Reagan signed the Montreal Protocol on stratospheric ozone depletion. He listened to the scientists, helped facilitate the diplomatic efforts to get that done. And Ronald Reagan wasn't considered particularly a liberal president.
No, not by standards back in the 80s.
Yeah, and there are parts of this party that have just gone, on a wackadoodle land, and just. Even if you took the science as admitted by the skeptics, and I read all that stuff, greenhouse gases have a warming effect, they're warming the planet. There's some theories as to why it won't be as much warming as the mainstream scientists, but this is not a hoax. I mean, this is, it's a reality. We all hope it's less bad than it appears it's going to be, that it appears it is. But we've got to unite this country and tackle this issue. And I actually think it's coming around. I think more and more people are recognizing it. When you've got the full range of voices out there, from interfaith groups to evangelical Christians, from OFA to a group called Climate Conservative and Climate Patriots. I mean, we've got a full range of voices out there that are speaking up, saying now's the time for this country to tackle this issue.
And with that full range of voices, as you call them, why are we not seeing the action we need? Why are we not seeing the legislative efforts that are needed at this time?
We're living in an era of divided government, and this is apparently not the issues they've decided to divide themselves, to work together on. And I'm hoping we're going to get a breakthrough here. I mean, the immediate issue coming up in the fight against climate change is, will we continue the renewable energy production tax credit, which has been a very successful policy to spur innovation and expansion of renewable energy industries.
Well, I mean, some say the pivotal issue is Keystone Pipeline.
That's a key. That's a pivotal issue. That's obviously in the hands of the president at some level, and I think the president's going to deny approval for Keystone. In fact, I continue to say I'd be shocked if he approved it.
So, and I've not been partial to the renewable energy tax credits discussion. Is that on the table right now in the U.S. Congress?
Well, once again, because last year they in the fiscal cliff compromise they extended it for 1 year, and so it expires December 31st, and we've got to do it again. And let's not do a 1-year extension. Let's get a long-term extension so that industry can continue its rapid growth and development. I mean, increasingly we're seeing news stories. Hey, in certain places, solar's cheaper and wind is cheaper. If we can continue the technological advances, we will advance those industries significantly. So let's just do it. And it's a discrete amount of money for the tax credits. It works. It spurs innovation because it's based on production. You actually have to produce electricity to get the credit.
Well, that's good. But no, who's opposed to it?
Good.
Who's opposed to it?
There are some people who think that even though fossil fuel industries get lots of subsidies that they've had for a century, that it's a subsidy of the renewable electricity industry, and we should stop it. But it's good. It's effective policy. It'd be a terrible thing to throw out. But, Ed, we've really gotten away from the subject today, which is Hurricane Sandy.
Yes.
And I apologize for taking us down that path.
No, that's fine.
But people need to remember. People need to remember the Americans who have died and the damage that was caused. And every one of those numbers that people hear has a human story behind it. These are real events with real people and real consequences. And we need to remember that and continue to be a generous country and support people when disasters like this happen. Just in the news, there's the wildfires in Australia, the drought in Australia,
right? The
terrible storm that killed people in England yesterday,
right?
There's Cyclone Fallon, Typhoon Usagi, Typhoon Whippa, the terrible blizzard in South Dakota. Unprecedented early fall blizzard brought 4 feet of snow. And
75,000 cattle?
Killed 100,000 cattle.
Yeah. Now back to the fire in Australia. I mean, again, not to divert. I mean, I don't want to talk more about Sandy as well, but the fire in Australia. There are 55 wildfires burning in New South Wales, and 20 of them are still, as of a few days ago, 20 of them are still uncontrolled. And maybe that's changed in the last couple of days, but you've got a Prime Minister, Abbott, who is just right lockstep with the deniers, saying that there is no climate change connection, even though he says brush fires happen all the time in Australia. But this is an unprecedented outbreak, and scientists are concerned. A lot of Australians are concerned, and yet he is just digging in and saying I think the words he used was hogwash. This is hogwash, that we should be thinking that this has anything to do with climate change.
Yeah, it's those voices are out there and they're saying this, but if you look around at the reality, we're having, we've always had disasters, right? There have always been disasters. In my faith, disasters are as old as the Book of Genesis, and so we've got to deal with those regardless. But we, what are we waiting for? If Hurricane Sandy doesn't get our attention with the record storm surges, what are we waiting for? Are we really going to wait until the water is in downtown New York City permanently?
Yeah, and that's what is remarkable to me. I mean, when Cedar Rapids was hit with unprecedented flooding in 2008, at the time that was I believe it was the 5th worst natural disaster in the history of the country. It was huge.
Yep, in terms of public infrastructure damage, right. That's right.
And 5 years later, Cedar Rapids is still recovering. You're not fully recovered yet. I'm guessing that most people in Cedar Rapids, including probably your mayor, I haven't talked to Ron Corbett about this, but I presume that he gets that this is not normal behavior for the Cedar River.
Well, I think he does, and in fact, he's going to join us tonight at this Remember Hurricane Sandy event. And I had a meeting over the weekend with some business leaders, and I asked him the question point blank. Do you think businesses in Cedar Rapids attribute this to climate change? And the answer I got was, well, they may or may not talk about it as climate change, but if you were to ask any business person in Cedar Rapids, should we expect more funny weather in the future or less? They're going to say more.
More, yeah.
And I think it's sinking in. I really do think it's sinking in, and it's a hard realization to make. I'm reading right now the last of the 3-volume biography of Winston Churchill by William Manchester, which had to be finished by another author because Manchester unfortunately had a stroke and couldn't complete the work, and then he died. But I just was reading a couple days ago about London in early 1940, and what had happened is the realization that the country was at war had not sunk in yet. And even when the war turned then into France and the Low Countries, even then people didn't feel it. But when they had to evacuate from Dunkirk, when the French dropped out, then they knew they were at war. And I think and that's a hard realization. Humans do not want to accept bad news.
No, we're naturally an optimistic species, but we also ought to be a realistic one at times.
Now, here's the point. We can be optimistic, but you've got to recognize reality.
Right.
And if we recognize reality, there's a lot of things we can do, Ed, to safeguard our people, our property. And part of that is slashing greenhouse gas emissions, which we can do if we give the necessary support we need to renewable energy and energy efficiency and all the transportation solutions that really work. We can have a safe, healthy, prosperous, vibrant life and be sustainable, but it's not just going to happen by accident. We have got to vote that way. We've got to act that way. We've got to speak up for the action that we need. And if that, there are going to be some challenges in the coming decades, no question, because of climate change. We are irreversibly committed to those challenges.
Well, Rob,
we're going to have to face them, but we can still act.
Rob, I really want to thank you for
trying to act and we can't act.
Yeah, and I want to thank you too for the book you read in the America's Climate Century, and I think people would do well to get a copy of that. It's a short read, it's an easy read, it's a very informative read. It's available at several local bookstores here in Des Moines. And, of course, you can contact Rob directly for information on ordering copies of that. But it's
Ed, if I
yes.
can put in a plug,
sure.
On November 12th, I will be speaking at the Franklin Avenue Library in Des Moines. And so people in Des Moines can see me there. And in Cedar Rapids, this Friday at Intersections, which is a discussion, a faith-based program at First Presbyterian Church in downtown Cedar Rapids over the noon hour this Friday, November 1st.
Great. And
then Tuesday, November 12th, 7 p.m. at Franklin Avenue Public Library in Des Moines.
All right. Well, good luck with that, Rob, and we'll always be happy to promote events you're involved with. You're doing a great work. You're a model public servant. I wish there were more of you.
Ed, and you're doing a great job with the Great March for Climate Action, and I think the momentum's building. So I'm very hopeful that the country's going to turn the corner on this issue and start taking that climate action that is so urgently needed.
Thank you so much for joining us, Rob. State Senator Rob Hogue, folks, a Democratic lawmaker from Cedar Rapids, where they've been through quite a disaster, and there's probably some lessons to be learned for the folks in Hurricane Sandy country as they celebrate the 1 year celebrate's the wrong word, as they commemorate the 1 year anniversary of Sandy's trashing of the New Jersey and New York coastline. It may take a few years to recover, and at some point we're going to run out of resources to expeditiously help areas that are hit by climate disasters to recover. Speaking of climate disasters, Australia, right now, I know it's hard for those of us who think the U.S. is the center of the universe to understand that it is now summertime down in Australia, and summertime means fires. That's not unusual, but what's unusual is the extent of the fires. We're looking at 55 fires going right now. And this is as of a few days ago. I'm hoping that these have been brought under control because apparently the weather has improved, meaning they've gotten cooler temperatures. But this is a big deal. 200 homes were destroyed in New South Wales. And the interesting thing to me is that there are, I mean, again, science is not divided on this. Science has a very, very clear opinion on this. These fires, just as the fires in the west of our own country, are happening. They're more extreme. They're more frequent. There's a longer fire season. It's happening because of what's going on upstairs in the climate with the increasing concentration of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. An Australian writer, Graham Redfern, who I think has a great analogy here. He says, imagine a teacher who wanders into a classroom full of 5-year-olds, sits down, pulls out a pack of cigarettes, and starts to smoke them, exhaling puffs of cancer-inducing haze. Please stop that, pleads one of the children. My mommy says smoking gives you cancer. Rubbish, replies the teacher. People have been dying of cancer ever since humans have walked the earth. How did the cavemen die of cancer before cigarettes were invented? Okay, so the point is, this is one of the arguments that are made that, well, climate disasters have always happened. Why should we think that carbon dioxide and implicitly human behavior has anything to do with it? And again, that's the line apparently that Prime Minister Abbott has bought into. He just, I really hope Australians will take a look at what he's saying because it's receiving some criticism around the globe, as it should. Well, there's plenty more to talk about on this, but I've got to run to a break, folks. For those of you who are listening live, for those of you who are listening at KHOI and KPVL, thank you for joining this conversation. Again, on KPVL, this airs every Wednesday at 7 p.m. On KHOI, every Wednesday at 5 p.m. I want to thank the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club, also Physicians for Social Responsibility, and the Great March for Climate Action. I want to thank my anchor sponsors, Gateway Market and Cafe. Check out Gateway Market, folks, at 20th and Woodland for breakfast, lunch, and supper. That's the cafe part. And there's a fantastic grocery store as well. A lot of the stuff they sell comes from local sources. I want to thank my other anchor sponsor, the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. That's an annual event coming up on November 9th where if you've got a business idea, take it to the summit, learn how to grow your business. They've been very, very successful with that. 100 new business ideas came out of the IES last year. Go to iesusa.org and register today. I want to thank Kim Foley with N-Touch Therapy Services. Kim is a massage and physical therapist. Contact her at 979-8629. 979-8629. Also, Hawk Restaurant in East Village. Hawk gets 90% of the food they serve from local sources. Check them out, folks, at East 5th and Walnut. I want to thank Community CPA and Associates at 3816 Ingersoll Ave and Ritual Cafe at 13th and Locust in downtown Des Moines, where I will be giving a concert in a couple months. I want to thank Tally's Restaurant, Bar, and Catering. And yes, they have a fantastic catering service as well as a great restaurant for lunch, supper, and brunch on Sunday. I also want to thank Corazon Coffee Roasters in West Des Moines, where you can get fair trade coffee and fair trade tea in bulk. I want to thank the bookstore right here below where we broadcast our show at Webcast One Live. The bookstore is one of the 2 locally owned bookstores in Des Moines. John Heitzman is the owner. And if you can't find it there on one of the shelves in the bookstore, he'll order it for you. Give John a shout there down at 6th and Locust. I'll be back in just a minute. We're going to take a quick look at the courthouse vote coming up. I've got some reservations. I'm curious what other people think. I'll be back in just a minute.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I am administrative manager
I am the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, so that's Mary McAdams. We're back to our conversation. Just a brief conversation here on the Fallon Forum regarding the jail referendum. I had lunch with a lawyer friend of mine. I said, so how do you feel about the $81 million bond issue? And he said, well, I'm slightly in favor of it. I said, well, I'm slightly, maybe a little more than slightly opposed to it. And as we talked, we realized pretty much we have the same issues, exact same issues. And one letter to the editor by Bill Douglas today sums up how I feel pretty well. He says, focus on the courthouse, not on fear-mongering. He said, I thought the campaign to upgrade the Polk County court system was a good idea, but then the campaign went negative. And again, there's not even an opponent. There's not any organized opposition at all. It went negative with fear-mongering that criminals might be on the street if the measure doesn't pass. People accused of crimes are not... This is a really good point, because the Register made this mistake as well. People accused of crimes are not criminals until they are convicted. Even if one accepts the definition of criminal as one who is accused of a crime, you only need to be wealthy enough to make bail to be able to roam the streets until trial. Yeah. Please, let's debate the merits of upgrading the Polk County court system, not stigmatize those accused of a crime who are too poor to make bail. From Bill Douglas. And again, not just too poor to make bail, but again, you're not guilty until you are proven guilty. You're innocent. You're not a criminal just because you're in the courthouse. And this whole argument, the thing seems to hinge on the idea that we have to protect, we have to separate people. We got too many people who are on both sides of a conflict mixing. So this is how the article in the Register, which is just lock, stock, and barrel for this thing. They say, minutes after Ron Hawkinson was convicted this month of first-degree murder, Polk County Sheriff's deputies escorted him out of the courtroom to the hallway where he passed the widows of the two men he killed. That is unfortunate. That may be sloppy. It may be unavoidable, but it does not justify $81 million in taxpayer money. And I don't doubt that there are some things here that need to be improved. I certainly think that restoring and preserving the historic courthouse is a great idea. I certainly think some of these things probably make sense, but the fear-mongering, the brochures just offend me. Current facilities that criminals, well, here, we've already covered that one. The public safety judicial system bond will establish fully separate facilities for adult and juvenile offenders. Okay, that's not so bad, but again, some of the other brochures keep reminding us that that the criminals are getting off on technicalities. And it says these lines. It says this is in order to, quote, improve public safety. Again, I'm not sure this is. It's going to make it work more efficiently, perhaps, but is it going to actually improve public safety or ensure fairness and impartiality? You know, if we already don't have fairness and impartiality in our judicial system, then $81 million isn't going to accomplish it. My concern is this, and this is a problem that's bigger than any bond issue we're going to vote on. The Kern County attorney is extremely aggressive in terms of prosecution, and I can think of plenty of cases, one of which I was involved with, that never should have gone to trial. I mean, the 8 Occupy trials that took up a week each that cost $100,000. I mean, previous county attorney said there's no way those should have went to trial. I can think of other things I've seen recently that should not go to trial. You know, if you want to go hog wild on prosecution, yeah, then maybe you're going to have to spend this kind of money to accommodate all that traffic. But the truth is, a lot of this should be diverted away from ever having to come to trial, and it's not happening. The other problem is the legislature. They keep creating new crimes, making new sentences, taking away judicial options, and that is as big a part of the problem, probably the biggest part of the problem, as anything. Anyway, that's my little rant on the courthouse. It's going to need 60%. We'll see if it passes. I commend them for at least trying to do something better than what they had on the table last time. All right, thanks to Maddie Kane, my producer, and thanks to Webcast One Live for providing this studio. I'll be back tomorrow.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Bertroche and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call.